Yes, friends, welcome back. As a continuation of the previous session, in the previous session we were discussing on passing on of the property, and we covered specific or ascertained goods. That is, when the goods or the property in the goods passes on from the seller to the buyer, if it is a specific or ascertained goods. Now, in this session, we will be discussing the second and the remaining points. That is, when the goods or property in the goods passes on from the seller to the buyer, if the goods is unascertained, or if it is a case of approval or sale or return basis, and if it is a case of reservation of right of disposal. Yes, the first of the discussions is unascertained goods. When the property in the goods passes on, if the goods is unascertained. I have given the link here. Basic point in case of unascertained goods is no property in the goods is passed on until and unless the goods are ascertained. So, if the goods is unascertained, the property in the goods cannot pass on from the seller to the buyer until and unless it is ascertained. Sir, what is meant by ascertained goods, unascertained goods, specific goods? My dear friends, I have already covered this in the previous session. Please recall the 100 kg rice bags example. You will be able to identify the thing which I discussed about the logo part. Just to recall quickly, let's say A has ordered 100 kgs of rice bag with a specific logo. If that specific logo is put and kept aside, then it is specific goods. Vis-a-vis that, if A has ordered 100 kgs of just rice bags, now the fact that out of 1000 rice bags, 100 rice bags were kept aside, then it becomes ascertained goods. And thirdly, the whole 1000 bags of 100 kgs rice bags is called unascertained goods. I hope the example was recalled to understand the present scenario. So no property is passed on until and unless the goods are ascertained. If the goods is unascertained, the property cannot pass on from the seller to the buyer until and unless the goods are being ascertained. The second point is the rules in respect of passing on a property in the case of unascertained goods. What are the rules? First one, the goods should be of the description and it should be in a deliverable state. Goods of the description, what goods has been described by the buyer, the seller has to keep that in a deliverable state. And second point is such a delivery should be given for carrier for transmission of the goods, that is transportation of the goods. Who is the carrier? It could be a railway, it could be a lorry, it could be a ship, presented by its transporting documents. For a ship, it is called bill of lading. That means when you load the goods into the ship, the master of the ship gives you a document that is called bill of lading. Please recall my previous video where we had discussed the same under the concept called document of title to goods. So, where the goods are delivered to the carrier, I was just recalling that if it is delivered to a ship, you get a bill of lading from the master of the ship. Similarly, if it is delivered to a railway carrier, you get a railway receipt. If you are delivering it to a lorry, the lorry guy gives the railway receipt. So the delivery of the goods should have been done to a carrier for the purpose of transmission, that is transportation of the goods. So these 2 points plays a very critical role in understanding the intention as to when the passing on of the property of the goods has happened. Further, if you observe, I have elaborately discussed this. Kindly observe these points. Based on these two, that is, the first point and the second point of goods of description in a deliverable state and it is delivered to the carrier for transmission, we have further more points which can be observed here. First one, there must be a contract of sale of unascertained goods or future goods. Recall my previous video again, I have discussed about future goods also, I have discussed about contingent goods also. We are discussing here unascertained goods and future goods only. So a contract of sale of unascertained goods or future goods should have happened. Second, such contract should conform to the description, or such goods should conform to the description and quality stated in the contract. So if it is a contract of unascertained goods or future goods, the second point says the goods should conform to the description and the quality which is stated in the contract for unascertained or future goods. So I hope the second point is also clear. Going forward, very important, goods must unconditionally be appropriated either by delivery to the buyer, agent or his carrier. Just an intention to appropriate is not sufficient. So very tricky and critical here. Please appreciate what I am trying to tell here. Goods must be unconditionally. If there is conditions attached to it at the time of appropriation, then definitely we cannot say that the goods is ascertained, and therefore we cannot conclude that the property has passed on. So the basic point here is goods must be unconditionally appropriated. It is unconditionally appropriated and kept aside somewhere? No, it should be either to the delivery to the buyer. That means once it is unconditionally appropriated, then the next limb is it should be delivered either to the buyer or to his agent or to the common carrier. Just by having an intention to appropriate the goods, appropriation means keeping it aside, earmarking it and keeping it aside so that it becomes ascertained. So just an intention to appropriate is not sufficient. Just if there was just an intention to appropriate, then the goods definitely is not ascertained. Then once it is not ascertained, we cannot say that the goods or the property in the goods has been transferred. Further, appropriation must be made by the seller with the assent of the buyer or vice versa. While doing the appropriation, then the next issue comes up is with whose acceptance was the appropriation made. Based on the contract written document, we can arrive at with whose consent the appropriation has to be made, with whose acceptance, with whose knowledge the appropriation has to be made. The contract could be either of the things, that either the seller has appropriated the goods with the acceptance / consent approval of this buyer, or the buyer has given the assent or acceptance. With that acceptance, the seller has appropriated the goods. Both the ways are possible. With the seller's assent, the goods have been appropriated, or with the buyer's assent, the goods have been appropriated. That is why I say vice versa here. And last point, such assent may be express or implied. That is what I said. You could find it in the contract itself, or it could be implied. When it is implied, we can go by the trade and usage of trade and customary practices. At that time, we can use the word implied concept. So such assent may be either express or implied, and may be either given before the appropriation or after the appropriation. So I said either the buyer with the assent of the seller or the seller with the assent of the buyer, the goods can be appropriated. Such appropriation could be either expressly written, or it could be implied by the nature of the transaction due to the customary practices and the usage of trade. And such appropriation could be either before or after the contract. That means this appropriation could be either before or after entering into a contract. So basically we conclude the point 2, that is passing on of unascertained goods, wherein we clearly understand that if the unascertained goods is ascertained, only then goods can be said to have passed on. That is, the property in the goods is passed on from the seller to the buyer. For that, we check all these points and give credit to it. So the next point which we are going to discuss is about sale of goods on approval or on sale or return basis. A beautiful chapter in accountancy, sale of goods on approval or return basis, to calculate the profit element in it, then up to when can we recognize that it has a sale. All these points becomes important in accountancy. Coming back to the concepts in law. If we are discussing about approval, then these are the points. Quickly we will run through. Pretty simple, straightforward it is. When it is a goods sent on approval, check this first point. When the buyer signifies his acceptance to the seller, he conveys his acceptance to the seller, then the property in the goods has passed on from the seller to the buyer. So first the buyer should convey his acceptance to the seller, and accordingly the property in the goods has passed on from the seller to the buyer. Similarly, the next point, these are synonymous words, so either you can use signifies is acceptance to the seller or signifies is approval to the seller. As a matter of fact, I've added it as a second point. So signifies is acceptance to the seller, or the buyer has signifies is approval to the seller. Both means one and the same. Third point is interesting, where when the buyer has done any act adopting the transaction, that means try to understand the sequence. The seller has sent the goods to the buyer on approval. If it is not approved, it has to be returned back. If it is not returned back, then what happens? What has happened to the goods? If something has been done to the goods where it signifies that the buyer has adopted the transaction or accepted the transaction, then we call it as the case of property being transferred from the seller to the buyer. Example I've given, if the buyer has used them for his personal use, or if he resells. If the buyer resells such goods, then it is an act of adoption of the transaction. Then obviously the transfer of property in goods is made from the seller to the buyer. Next interesting scenario under approval is, check this, in case if the above points is not done by the buyer. What is that? Either he is not accepted it, or he is not approved it yet, or he is not adopted the transaction yet. Then we have to check certain more important points. That is, in case if the above points is not done by the buyer but retains the goods without the notice of rejection. That means seller has sent the goods on approval to the buyer has not yet accepted it, not yet approved it, not yet adopted it by using them or reselling them. He is still retaining the possession of the goods, but he is neither given a notice of rejection. He is not rejected yet. That means the notice of rejection is not yet given by the buyer to the seller. In simple words, the goods is still lying with the buyer, but he is not yet returned back the goods. In such scenario, we have to further check what it is. But retains the goods without notice of rejection, then check in the contract if time has been specified or if time has been fixed. If time has been fixed in the contract, then on the expiry of such time, once that such time is concluded, then we say the property in the goods has been passed on from the seller to the buyer. Or, sir, what if there is no time fixed? Check this. If no time is fixed, then on the expiry of a reasonable time, we can conclude that the property has passed on from seller to the buyer. Sir, what is this reasonable time? Well, it depends on facts and circumstances of the case. If the example is tomatoes and vegetables, reasonable time could be 2 to 3 days. If, let's say, it's a markup, and probably it could be about 30 days to 45 days. So depending on each case, we can derive what is a reasonable time. In case if it is food, then reasonable time obviously has to be in minutes or hours. So thereby we can arrive at what is a reasonable time and establish the fact whether the property has been passed on from the seller to the buyer, if it is in the case of goods sent on approval. As an extension of it, we go on to see if the sale is on sale or return basis. That means you send the goods, you either purchase it or you return back. In such case, we decide the point of transfer of property in goods by undergoing this, by verifying this point. That is, when the buyer does an act, exercising his domination over the goods. So if the goods has been sent on sale or return by the seller to the buyer, we have to check whether the buyer has exercised his domination over the goods. That means whether he's used the goods at his own whims and fancies. If he's just preserved the goods, then we still are on the basic platform. Property in the goods is not yet transferred. But if the buyer, if and when exercises domination over goods, then his exercise of domination over the goods shows an unequivocal intention to buy. Beautiful language, beautiful English used here. What is that? Where a buyer has used or exercised his domination over the goods, then his intention, what is the intention? Unequivocal intention, undeniable intention is proved. It's proved that he has used the goods for himself. Example, if he pledged the goods. So, where the seller has sent the goods on sale or return basis, and the goods is yet to come back to the seller, we understand that property is not yet transferred from the seller to the buyer. However, if the buyer has used or exercised his domination of the goods, it clearly shows his unequivocal intention, undeniable intention that he's used the goods. Thereby, by establishing that fact of unequivocal intention, we can say the property in the goods has passed on from the seller to the buyer. Please note, in the same sale or return basis, we also have a special point. What if in the contract the seller has told that the approval can happen only upon payment? That means where the seller has sent the goods to the buyer, only if and when the buyer makes the payment, the property is being transferred from the seller to the buyer. If that is the words used in the law, or if that is the words used in the contract, then check this note. If the contract says until payment, the property will not pass on until the payment is made. So it's pretty simple, where the seller has sent the goods to the buyer and he's conveyed that till you make the payment, the property is not yet transferred, which means till the payment is made, the product or the goods belongs to the seller, property is not yet passed on from the seller to the buyer. However, if the payment is made, then only then the property is transferred from the seller to the buyer. So the second point, or rather the third point of arriving at when the property in the goods is transferred, as far as sale of goods on approval or sale or return basis, is concluded with this point. Last part is very important and interesting, though it has only 2 points. Very interesting to note: transfer of property in the case of reservation of right of disposal. Now, what is meant by reservation of right of disposal? Reserve means keep it for yourself. When you have entered into a transaction of, let's say, a contract of sale, and you have specified that I reserve the right to dispose the goods, that means you say you still have the ownership of the goods. You can use and appropriate the goods as in how you want, despite it is under the contract. So, what do I intend by it? Please see what is the real intention of my statement. A, if it's deliverable to the order of the seller, that means when the goods has, let's say, passed on to a carrier, goods have been loaded to the carrier, and the seller has instructed the carrier that don't deliver the goods until and unless I mention to deliver it, or I agree to deliver it to the buyer, then it's assumed by the law that seller reserves the right of disposal of the goods. Am I clear? I repeat again, where the seller has informed the carrier of the goods not to deliver the goods to the buyer until and unless the seller has stated or seller has agreed for the delivery, then we say the seller has the right of disposal or reserves the right of disposal of goods. Second point in it, very interesting, where the seller draws a bill of exchange. I am sure that you know what is meant by bill of exchange. It's a negotiable instrument. The seller draws a bill of exchange to secure payment. That means if the seller wants the payment to be safe, along with the bill of lading, that is when he's loaded the goods, whether it is a bill of lading or a railway receipt or a lorry receipt, he will send a bill of exchange along with these documents. Once these documents along with the bill of exchange has reached the buyer, if the buyer has not accepted the bill of exchange, not accepted the payment, or rather not accepted for making the payment, then please check. Seller draws a bill of exchange to secure the payment along with the bill of lading. If the buyer does not accept the bill of exchange, then property is not yet transferred from the seller to the buyer. It's as simple as that. 2 points to be kept in mind. Where the seller reserves the right of disposal can be arrived at 2 interesting points, where the delivery is at the order of the seller, or where the seller wants to secure the payment from the buyer, where if the buyer has not accepted the bill of exchange, then the property is not yet passed on from the seller to the buyer. So these were the points regarding unascertained goods, goods sent on approval or return basis, then property where property gets transferred in the case, when the property gets transferred in the case of reservation of right of disposal. So my dear friends, as far as ascertained and specific goods, I had concluded it in the previous video. Now I have concluded the remaining part of these things, which is a discussion of transfer of ownership. The remaining I will continue in the next session. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts, please do get back to me at loitsacademy@gmail.com. I will revert back to you. Thank you.